We are recording.
All right, fantastic. Well, welcome everybody to MVP Office Hours on September 20th. I'm joined right now by Dale Ziegler, and I believe Jared will be joining us shortly if he's not already on the line. Um, so welcome to today's call. One of the things that we always start out with is the community events, community-led events. So you'll see a list of Dream events on the right side of your screen. And of course, we've got Dreamforce listed there coming up in November, the week before Thanksgiving. So hope to see you all out there. If you are not attending Dreamforce, inquire with your community group leaders to see if they're doing any kind of a watch party. And if not, you might suggest it. I may be doing that with my group personally. So I just would recommend that y'all still get together and have your user group meeting, maybe around Mark Benioff's keynote, and can talk about all the exciting things coming down the pike. So, and we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Thank you, Dale. So we meet the first and third Friday of the month. Our next call is October 4th already, getting into fall, amazingly. If you don't have us on your calendar regularly, I'd suggest go to the registration bit.ly that's listed there and register so that you can get the emails that we send out before each call to make sure that you are able to register and attend. This particular call is for everybody. We welcome everyone to participate, share your experiences, any inputs you have, any recommendations, references, gotchas, things that you have learned. If you've already experienced the headaches and you can share with the rest of the group, save us all some pain. I think everybody's already on mute, but if you're not, go ahead and mute yourself. And then feel free to ask questions. Just you can do one of two things. You can either raise your hand in the chat, or you can simply announce yourself when we've got some dead air and ask away. If you would announce yourself, we don't recognize everybody's voices. So if you can announce yourself first, that would be great. And you can also use the chat to post any of your resources or links. It's great when somebody asks a question and then others are out there doing the Google searches and such, and then sharing links to various resources. So we kind of, as a group, solve people's problems. And then just a reminder, you can share your screen. We always like to give the warning that it's probably not a good idea to share anything that's got actual real data, because this call is being recorded. So if you can jump into a sandbox that doesn't have data, that would be great. And let's see, do we have any MVPs on the call besides Dale and myself? I'm scrolling through.
Hey Jackie, it's Carl Brundage. I'm here.
Hi, how are you?
I do well.
Thank you so much, Carl, for joining us. Carl was with us last time and had all kinds of experience to share with us about various developer-related questions, and I think there was some flow questions and things like that. So if you have those types of questions, Dale and Carl are great resources on today's call. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you are not familiar with all of the other groups that we have, we've also got MVP Office Hours that takes place out in EMEA and in Portuguese. So Carlos runs our Portuguese group, and just because it is Portuguese does not mean that you have to speak Portuguese or Spanish. He does a fantastic job of doing translations, so anybody is welcome to attend and become an additional resource for them as well. So just in the spirit of giving back, that's a great opportunity. So with that, Dale, did you have anything that you wanted to add before we take the first question?
So, of course, probably hot on many people's minds is a performance degradation centered around files and everything. And I'm going to say the same thing I did a few months ago. I think it was in May when we had the big, what they call it, permission-ageddon or whatever. But we are not going to take questions that are complaint in nature about this issue. This is technology. It happens. Salesforce is doing their absolute best to resolve it. I think it's always a great time for us to talk about trust.salesforce.com and status.salesforce.com, which we have up on the screen, which is where you can monitor the issues and if there's any updates. I think if you're in an impacted server pod or an impacted org, you're probably receiving emails that invite you to conference calls where they give status updates. I highly encourage attending those, but we are a community that comes together to increase the greater good. We are not here to complain about things that are beyond our control because of this. Salesforce is a company made up of humans, made up of really smart humans who are just trying their best. So let's give them the respect that they deserve to try to fix the problems. These things happen. So I'm just going to say that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and take the first question. It looks like Christy Kane, you got your hand up in the chat.
Yes, I do, although that led to another question. What's the difference between trust.salesforce.com and status.salesforce.com?
That is a fantastic question. So trust.salesforce.com, it's kind of the core. It's kind of like your homepage dashboard for all things platform. System statuses, as well as reaching out to Pardot or MuleSoft or anything like that. But it's kind of the landing page to say we are Salesforce, we are fully transparent with what all is going on. Status then actually drills you into pick a server pod or pick a functionality, and you can track things from there. They also have it broken down by cloud. If there was like an Einstein Analytics issue, you could click directly into there and it would give you all of the instances in green, yellow, red, maintenance, whatever. And then a big thing to keep your eyes on, especially with Winter 20, I mean, we're in the thick of it with sandboxes and production coming up, is you can also look at upcoming maintenances.
Okay, cool, thank you.
So, yeah.
Now I have the question of why I raised my hand. So
Sure.
I'm part of a team and in the middle of setting up a brand new Salesforce thing, but I work for the company. So anyway, one of the things that I'm trying to do, and I don't know how to do it, and I've tried to look at help and success, and I can't find anything, is when somebody creates a task and there seems to be a field called related to, and it's not necessarily lookup, it must be one of those out-of-the-box fields. Can I limit, and how do I limit what objects appear in the drop-down list for someone to relate that task to?
I have a half-baked answer unless anybody has the full-baked answer.
Go ahead, Dale.
So to my knowledge, there isn't a really great way to limit that, because the related to is either the native what or who ID. I always get the two confused, but it's polymorphic, which means it can relate to any number of objects that, like the standard out of the box objects, you can't turn off the ability to relate activities to those. And then whenever you create a new custom object, you have the ability to select, can you run reports off this? Can you allow activities, etc. But by nature of it being polymorphic, validation rules won't work. Validation rules want you to stay in a very specific lane, unless you wanted to build out a whole bunch of if clauses of if the object ID starts with this or this or this. I'll defer to a developer if there's a programmatic way to deplete the list, and even then, I don't think you can, in the UI, shorten the list of objects that activities could be related to. You would just have to have a programmatic way to actually prevent that activity from being related to that object.
Okay.
Are there do you not want it to relate to any objects or just certain objects?
No, it was certain objects. There's things like, it says asset relationship, like all of these weird things that the reps are never going to use. And so I want to just say, you know what, I want the pop-up or the drop-down to be account, opportunity, campaign, or contact, like the end.
I mean, I'm going to defer to... I defer to devs on that one to see if there's a way that you can get around that. But to my knowledge, especially on core out-of-the-box objects, I don't think you can do that.
Dale, I've never even tried this. I've never thought about it. But what about the object visibility? If they don't use assets and you don't give them access to it, is the related to list dynamic based on your access? I've never even tried.
Jared, I know you chimed in too.
That'd be one thing I'd try. I don't know if it would work.
Okay, and I did try and turn off the tab, and that didn't work, but you might be right. I think I actually did that in my old org over there, but I was trying to figure out, okay, so they have to have like 0 access completely, and then it wouldn't come up.
I would think that would, logically, I would think that that would be the case.
Okay.
So unless anybody knows the answer right now, I'm taking this down as a note that I'm going to go research for myself, because I feel like I'm going to have an itchy brain about this to try to get you the answer, if that's fair.
No, that's good. And by the way, side note, Dale, I was telling someone about, hey, we should have, open hours for training when we roll out the org, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And the person I told says, oh my God, I know that guy because I referenced MVP. So down the road, Jamie O'Brien, he remembers you. So.
Oh, you're here locally, aren't you?
No, I'm not local. I actually work remotely, but it's YRCW that I work for. So.
Oh, I'm gonna have a teary moment here. That's where I started my big boy career.
They got
he was at the
Salesforce.
and he was at the railroad with me too.
That's what he told me. He goes, wait, I know that guy. So anyway, I don't mean to get off topic, but I'll email you later. So.
Go give him a big old hug for me, please.
Okay.
But I'm going to take this offline probably this weekend, and I'll see if we can break this down for you.
Cool. Thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, let's see. Jennifer Lang,
Hi
go ahead and
guys.
ask your question.
I've been away for the last couple weeks because I have been upgrading my team to Lightning. And now that we're upgraded, I have a question for you. I have files on my objects, on my records. When I open the file, it shows me a PDF. I'm not able to rotate the image in the PDF. I'm not able to copy and paste from the PDF. And these were all things that I could do when I was back on notes and attachments. My users are greatly missing this functionality. Is there any way to get it back?
Okay, so let me make sure.
And I'm happy to share my screen. I have a fake.
Let's do that.
Okay.
That's going to be a much easier experience than me trying to regurgitate what you were saying.
And Dale, while she's doing that, can you promote me to host for our call? Pretty please.
Yeah.
Or co-host. Thanks.
All right. So here's my fake record. And here's my file.
You're not sharing yet.
Oh. I always forget to
Here we
press
go.
the last button.
That's
Okay.
okay.
So can you see my record?
Yes.
Okay. Here's my file. And when I click on it, this is what comes up. And it's nice, I can read it. But if I'm going to go fill out a form, I need to copy this account number. I may have scanned my social security card upside down and need to rotate it. How can I get this to be interactive? Like, it won't do anything.
So
Is this a result of today's degradation?
It is not. This has been going on for a couple weeks, and I've been trying every stop possible to get an answer.
Okay.
So while switching from Classic to Lightning, you switched from notes and attachments to files, correct?
Yes.
I'm wondering if it's a browser type action that in Classic, notes and attachments would pop up into a new browser tab, right?
Yes.
This is same tab, but the PDF is kind of embedded, which does lock down some things. I don't know if files is configurable to be able to do that in screen. Marty, great suggestion. Try downloading it. Even then, especially with Chrome, I don't know about the other, about Firefox or IE or Safari, but if you download a PDF and then it's there at the bottom of your screen, even that will still pop it up in a browser tab and I think be kind of limited. You have to actually then open it up in a desktop PDF reader to make it interactive like that.
So I appreciate the download option. It's an extra step, and we do 4 or 5 of these with every customer we see. So it's the extra step adds up.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is it then adds it to my C drive.
Yep.
And I don't want my 50 users downloading Social Security cards to their C drives. Okay, I was hoping you guys knew some magic thing.
Well, yeah, and then so that unfortunately would tie back to a limitation of files that
Okay.
I don't know if it's configurable or not. If it's not configurable, I don't know if it's on roadmap, but that's where my head goes.
I will go and see what I can do with ideas.
On
right,
the on the social security number piece specifically, is there anything? Is that encrypted in the org, or is that open to users that it can be viewed within the org rather than going to a file like that? Or is it because, is the social security number coming from that file?
No, they just need to be able to look at the card.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's not so much as we give them grants for rent or utility bills that are overdue. So that's where we're really missing copying names and addresses and account numbers.
Gotcha.
The Social Security number was a bad example for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, thought I'd ask and appreciate your efforts.
Absolutely.
thank you for the question. Okay, what do we have in chat?
Is anyone?
I'm not sure that I'm going to say your name right, and I apologize. Guilherme?
Guilherme?
Guilherme? Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
And it looks like someone's already raised their hand to say yes, they passed that certification. Pani? So maybe if we can't get unmuted, I can at least go try and find. Oh, hey.
Hi guys,
There
sorry,
it is.
I was on
That's okay.
mute. Thanks for the opportunity. Are you listening to me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Does it have anyone certified with Sharing and Visibility Designer here? I started studying for that for Trailhead, but there isn't too much content on that, and I'd like to get some tips for that certification.
So Pani put in the text. I'm not going to presume gender, but Pani has passed recently.
Yeah, it's Bonnie.
Pani, okay.
Are you able to see his note that he put in there, Guilherme?
Yeah, I think the best way would be the documents.
So
because the official Trail Mix has lots of documents instead of modules.
Gotcha.
While you're searching for that, this is Carl again. One of the things when it comes to not only this Salesforce certification, but all certifications, is really go over the study guide and understand the study guide, because it is really your key to all the exams. Everything that you expect to see is tied into the study guide, the different sections. So if it's 60 questions on the exam and it says there's 25% in this topic, then you know that you're going to have 15 questions, for example, on the programmatic sharing. And then what you can do is you can look a level deeper at the types of questions they ask you in the study guide. And if it's something like know the use cases, you're going to have a high level question. If it's given a scenario, figure out how to create sharing, well, you're going to probably have to pick a sharing one. So doing that level of understanding of the study guide, that's what I tell students when I teach CTA 601 class, is really understand what you're trying to study for. And then you'll find these trail mixes that Dale has up a lot more impactful because you can tie it back to the specific exam objectives.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Yeah, the trail mix I'm using is the first one.
The 24,000 point.
Yes, that's
Okay.
the one.
Good
Yeah,
suggestions. Thank you, Carl. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would definitely echo Carl's comments. As I was like a few months ago looking to pass like Service Cloud consultant, there's a handful of trail mixes out there, and I broke the trail mixes down to see what the overlap was, and you can kind of even build a bigger trail mix. But then also it allowed me to, I know how I learn. You probably have your way of learning. You can then dive into those pieces that of what's going to resonate with you the most. Is it the hands-on modules? Is it the documentation? Like everybody learns differently. So these probably all have their own incremental bits of value that you can borrow from freely to get your ultimate mix.
Okay, great. Any other
Before
questions?
Before we
Go
go to the
ahead.
next one, I want to go back to the previewing the PDF files again,
Mhm.
because in looking at it, I learned something. What you're seeing in Lightning when you preview a PDF is not a PDF. It is actually an image. So it
Okay.
turns the PDF into an image, which is why you can't copy it. It's like trying to copy from a photo that you uploaded. So they let you do it as two different image types, SVG or JPEG, but both of those aren't going to help you copy. So at that point, I would probably start looking for an app exchange solution or a way that you could actually open the file instead of having the image-based preview, because it's never going to get you the ability to copy from it.
Thank you.
Great, thank you for that. All right, who else has a question? Anybody looking for resources? Has anyone had a chance to dive into Winter 20? Is there anything you see that you like?
Ability to print list views.
Nice.
Any Dreamforce speakers coming up?
I got rejected as a Dreamforce speaker.
Well, then come to Charlotte and present at our user group.
I live outside
Yes, we're always
Pittsburgh.
looking to present. Well, maybe we could do something virtually.
Okay.
I was actually just talking to my co-leader. I was having coffee with my co-leader this morning here in Kansas City, and we're looking to do a November user group meeting right before Dreamforce. And we thought, we're going to have a couple hundred presenters who are going to be like primed and ready to go for Dreamforce, that maybe we let them have just one last dry run through a virtual presentation for our user group.
Yep, that's fantastic. Fantastic. I'll share a little something just as a, you know, maybe if you are going to create something like this, you're not going to smack your head against the desk like we were doing. So when you create a task, or when a user creates a task and you want to use a process builder to immediately reassign it, let's say based on the subject, right now, this is a known issue that when it reassigns it, it shoots out 2 emails to that recipient. And there's no way to stop that using that method. Our solution was to create a lookup on the, let's say, the account record, and use a process builder to, or excuse me, a quick action to populate that with a specific user. So now I'm not using a process builder to reassign it. I'm using the quick action function. And then everything works smoothly that route. But it took us a long time to figure out and find the known issue and escalate that with, hey, this affects me too. So yeah, using Process Builder to reassign a task generates 2 emails to that new assigned to person.
Do you know why it's 2 emails instead of 1 email?
It's a bug.
Oh, okay.
It's just, yeah, it's just a bug. They know about it. It was marked yesterday as in review, I believe. But it's just kind of interesting. So it doesn't happen in Classic. I believe it only happens in Lightning, I think.
Great tip. I'm going to keep that if I ever need it.
Yeah, so test it to, if you run up against it and you say, okay, this is generating 2 emails, then the solution hasn't been provided yet. Does everybody know about the known issues? Dale, maybe you could bring that up. Because I didn't realize, it's not like I'm just now starting to run into some funky things, that you can add your kind of name to the list to say, hey, this affects me. And then it keeps a count. And then it sends you an email anytime Salesforce adds an update for that known issue.
Here, let me go back one step because this is probably the hub link. success.salesforce.com/issues_index. You got tags, you got statuses, an RSS feed.
So go ahead and click into just one of those, if you don't mind. So up in the upper right corner, the green button, this issue affects me. And then on the left side, it's tagged with it. This particular one is tagged with in review. So you can see that they've seen it. They're taking a look at it. Here's what, and under summary, it actually says fix. So that's interesting. Repro, like as in reproduce. So those are the steps that the person did. Here's the workaround, and then there's some updates. So if this is something that you have not played around with or used as a resource for yourself, I would look at that. Now, here's a question that I have. If you go back, Dale, to the main page, I haven't figured out a way to find issues because there's not any kind of there's a search, but I don't know that I was successful with that. Maybe I just am not good at search terms, but
let's try. What were you looking for?
So do the email and process builder. Two emails.
Multiple emails because it might not recognize numbers, but
yeah. So let's see if that comes up. So that is browsing the entire, not just known issues, but the entire site, the success site.
So like, what about this one up here? Process builder sending multiple email alerts when it should send one.
Oh, that's probably,
or
Scroll
field
down a
update
little
action.
bit.
there
What?
you go. Yep.
This one?
Yeah, try that one. I don't know if that was it.
It's a KI, so that would.
Scroll down to the bottom really quick. I want to see all the photos. See if this is the one that no, this is not. So this has only been reported by 11 people. The one that I was on was 50 something, 58.
But great example of just the information that comes on a known issue. Over here on the right, is it fixed? They've listed all of the server pods that the issue has been identified on. And, a bunch of big red X's doesn't give anybody warm fuzzies, but it does. I have seen known issues where it's been a mix of X's and check marks so that you can start to go through and see where the updates have been applied, they are making progress, etc. Whereas the one that we looked at a couple clicks ago said it was fixed, so this wasn't on here. When it says it's fixed, that means it's 100% fixed. But as they're working through the fix, you can get a pod by pod update.
And we can do a little more URL hacking here. Dale, if you go back to the main site, where you have all the known issues.
Hold on, let me put my glasses on and then, pinch them really close to my nose.
If you pick something that says release and process.
Hold on. My gigabit isn't being gigabit. Okay, release in process.
In progress. It's actually a status search. If you click on under status, release.
Yep.
What you'll find is if you click into one of these.
I like confetti. We'll do that.
So there's an example of where it has different orgs that it's been applied to.
Mm-hmm.
What I was looking for that's not on here is you'll often see a patch number. So because this is fixes in winter, it's a main release, but sometimes your fixes are in a patch number. You can actually click on that patch number and see everything that is related to a particular patch and when it's hitting the instances.
So it's like mini release notes.
It's those interim releases that hit that you don't even know right there. So there's a good one. If you click like release in progress winter 20, that blue. So that should give you everything in the release, and you can see where it falls in a particular org. But if you notice up in the URL, you have 2220, so that's the main release, and then this is 4000. So you can actually like put a 5 and a 6, and you can get the different patch numbers, so you can see if they give you a fix kind of out in the future, are there a few patches that need to get hit before yours? So I've used it to kind of see where my fix is versus the current version that an org is on, because that information doesn't always come as readily as we would like from Salesforce.
So these are all things that, like, I know in the heat of the moment I'm probably not going to remember to do, but this is the super cool stuff that makes me love Salesforce as a whole, is you can do that. That's awesome. So, like,
Sweet, thank you for that.
These are the kinds of things that before I was a consultant, when I was a customer, these kinds of things are how I would spend my Friday afternoons. I would block my calendar, no meetings, and I'd just go mess around with something, whether it was in Data Loader or clicking through the setup UI or finding an article that says, here's what the first 3 of your record ID tells you about the object, all that kind of stuff. I would just get stuck in rabbit holes on these kinds of things because it's so dynamic and so plug and play, and you just get a better understanding of how everything works. So that's super cool. All right, I'm done geeking out.
You're totally fine. Let's do a quick time check. So it's 2:32, and you know what? Let me just look at my calendar really quick, because I believe that there is an admin preview live webinar at 2:45. This is Eastern.
Oh.
That if people have registered for, they're probably going to want to jump off here and jump on there.
Okay, so then super quick, we didn't talk about, if you haven't already joined in the Success community, the Trailblazer community, we do have the MVP office hours page where you can also post questions, where we'll also post the recording and slides recap from all these links that we've shared. We'll do that there. But what is it, the release readiness group where they post those?
Yes.
Okay, so release readiness. If you haven't started following this group, especially these 3 times of the year, do it. Everything you could want to know about upcoming events within the release is here. So Release Readiness Live 9/20, that's today. So let's click on that. Developer preview was this morning. Admin preview, yes, you're right, in 10 minutes. We would not be offended if you jumped off to go join that. And then a whole bunch of stuff next week. So if you haven't started following Release Readiness Trailblazers, I strongly urge you go do it now.
Just checking chat to see if there's anything else in there. Nope, nothing new. So has anyone come across anything this week that they learned that they were surprised by, or was a good solution they can share? Nothing too big, too small.
I was excited for something in the setup. We're working with Wave 6, who is local to Kansas. And I was chatting with someone about testing because, I came originally from sales. And I said, so testing for Salesforce, are you going to be, because I'm not the tester, are you going to be doing the mobile as well as the desktop? And they all went, oh, that's a good idea. Because we have Azure and we have that single sign-on, and I'm like, yeah, we got to make sure it works on both Android and iPhone because that's what the reps have. So I was kind of excited. Yay.
Awesome.
That's good. That's good. Now, they may or may not know that there is a Chrome extension that they can bring up the mobile device on their desktop so they can see changes as things are happening, as they're making edits or what have you. So they don't have to actually log into a handheld device. They can do it right on their laptop.
But it wouldn't have that same, I want to make sure the Azure, all the security stuff that YRCW has going on with the phones sometimes makes it different. I think I'd rather them do it the hard way.
I'm going to
you want to test your single sign-on from the mobile app because it's going to need to be sure that your endpoint for single sign-on is available outside of your firewall and fully accessible. It should work if all those kind of things are checked off. I've seen it and set it up for other customers in other places, but those are the common pitfalls of, it's restricted to our network or it's restricted to a certain type of form factor like desktop that you'll run into. So good call on that one.
So I like that. So would you do a portion of your testing just to go, okay, layouts are right, I can see things that not security related, but that things are being displayed and that you like the way that they're being displayed? Would you do that through the Chrome extension?
Well,
and then test the actual security on the device?
I think I would do it in both places. Like the security, yes, from the device. The Chrome extension is good for as you're building things to quickly iterate through and then do a final user acceptance testing, some sort of testing on the device before it goes live.
Does that Chrome extension, when you as an admin are logged in as another user and then try to use that Chrome extension, does it pick up you as the running user or does it pick up the user you're logged in as? Going back to it, you're not going to get the security tested and everything, but when you start getting into field level security, org wide defaults, all that kind of stuff, does that Chrome extension?
I think it prompts you for credentials.
Okay.
So it would be whoever's credentials, if you've got
when
test users.
But when you're logging in as a user, you don't know that logged in user's password. So does it let you go through the login as and then still do it?
I don't know. I've had separate.
I would think now that you're all saying this, that in testing, I would definitely have the people who are doing the testing before it comes to the user UAT, whatever that stands for, that they need to set up a fake user who's a regular rep. Would that be, do you guys think that would be functionally good to test as that? And then they would have that ID and password because it's really them as another persona?
If you wanted to have full control over the testing experience, set up a dummy user.
Okay.
If you can get
and
users to...
of course you're doing this in Sandbox, so you can set up however many users you need to.
Yeah, we're so early on. We're in prod right now. Like literally, they're still creating fields. So.
Sorry to throw out the UAT term. So when we go through testing, so there's some different type of development testing that gets done. But when you have a lot of features put together, you'll usually go through the functional testing that you described that's done by a QA or quality assurance team. Those aren't people who are necessarily going to be using the app every day, but they have a general sense of this is what good software should look like. Does the pages look good? Can I only enter the right fields? That's kind of the first form of testing that gets done. And then before you roll out to a large group or go live in production, you usually do user acceptance testing or UAT testing. And that testing is meant to have the project team and actual users come in and say, yes, this is meeting my expectations around how software functions. Sometimes you think from a project perspective, you got all the pieces put together and then a user comes in and says, well, no, that's not how we're really doing things in the field, or that's not how we do it on our mobile device. We actually want to do it this way, this way. So you get that last set of feedback and checks before your system goes live. Is that
Okay,
helpful?
and I'm the UAT with the
Perfect.
product owner, and then before that it's the QA, and they don't know anything about Salesforce at all, so I'm trying to help them out get that. But right now, these few fields like, hey, set up path, set up a confetti, like these easy beginning stuff, I'm both QA and UAT and went, yeah, okay, that's done. But down the road, it's going to get more complicated.
Absolutely.
But thank you for that explanation, because that helps, since I was the sole admin at NewPen before it got rolled up to YRC, and I was the trainer. So I would build the backside, I would teach the front side, I did the whole thing, and now I'm part of a big team, and I went from 82 users, and YRCW is going to have like 1,300, so now I'm trying to learn how to scale.
Very good.
And having left YRC 9 years ago, I don't think my statutes of limitations will ever expire for me to comment on that whole situation. But have fun. Good luck. I'm here locally if you need an ear to bend.
Well, you know what, and I appreciate that. I'm just going to tell you one thing. Let's see, just in case, I plan on getting 2 more certifications by next April.
Well, there you go. Anything I can do to help you with that as well. You know where to find me.
Because,
There you
you
go.
just never know.
All right, we probably have time for one more question, comment, aha moment, celebration. If not, we can give you a couple of minutes back, and you can go register if you haven't already for the Admin Preview Live. Make sure that you join the Success Readiness Trailblazers community group page, so you can get those links and register for the various webinars that are coming up today and through next week.
Join our group too.
Yep. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Have
Thank
a great weekend. We'll see you in the cloud.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.